1962. A kitchen sink on the south side of Chicago, early on a Sunday morning. Three things sit on the edge of the porcelain basin. A half lemon, face down on the white enamel. A small dish of coarse salt. A tin of Vaseline, the lid already off and the rim wiped clean. The older black woman at that sink is not making breakfast. Her dark hands are already in the warm water. Her nails are short, clean, smooth, shaped to a soft oval that follows the curve of each fingertip. No salon ever touched them. No UV lamp, no electric file, no cuticle oil with a French name on the label. You have a shelf full of those things, and your hands still do not look like hers. She had 3 items and a kitchen sink. Today, we find out why. 10 nail habits. Every one of them done at the kitchen sink, the basin, or the vanity, before anyone built an industry around the idea that your hands needed professional help. Most cost a few pennies. Not one of them was replaced by something that worked better. Only by something more expensive to sell. Real quick before number 10. If a black woman in your life kept her hands smooth and strong without ever sitting in a salon chair, you already know why this channel exists. Subscribe and stay close. It means more than you know. Number 10. Short nails, filed in one direction. The whole philosophy in a single habit. Not long, not painted, not shaped for show. The black woman with the smoothest hands in the 1960s kept them clean, even, and oval. The shape that does not catch on a cotton apron, does not break over biscuit dough on a floured board, does not split when you wring a wet washcloth out over the enamel basin. Function. First. The look followed the function. Here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. File in one direction only, drawing the emery board from the outer edge in toward the center. Never saw it back and forth. Back and forth filing frays the free edge of the nail at the microscopic level. And that frayed edge is where every split and peel begins. One clean direction closes the edge and seals it shut. The black women on 47th Street in Bronzeville knew that rule before they ever knew how to drive a car, and their mothers had taught it to them at the same kitchen table. The emery board in your bathroom drawer is the exact same tool. The technique is older than the product aisle that sells it. Number 9. A warm water and white vinegar soak before anything else touched the hands. Not a rose-scented bowl. Not a foil packet dissolving in a branded dish. Warm tap water and a capful of white vinegar from the same bottle that lived on the shelf next to the salt and the baking soda box. The black grandmother at the basin let her fingers rest in it for 5 to 10 minutes. The kettle cooled on the back of the stove. The rest of the house slept on. The acetic acid in the vinegar softens the cuticle without ever cutting it. No stripping, no raw, stinging skin the way hot, soapy water leaves it. It loosens the grime from under the free edge of the nail without a single tool, and it leaves the skin around the nail soft and ready for everything that comes next. A salon charges you for that same soak by the minute, folded into a service fee that starts at $40 and climbs from there. The women of Bronzeville did it in the time it took the percolator to finish. The clock never changed. Only the invoice did. Number 8. A halved lemon, rubbed across the knuckles and cuticles once a week. Not a spa treatment. A kitchen leftover. After the juice went into the pitcher of sweet tea, or the cast iron pot of greens on the burner, the rind was not finished. It still held citric acid in the white pith under the yellow skin. The older black woman pressed her knuckles into that cut face, one hand at a time. slow circles across the darker skin at the joints, along the whole cuticle line, where dead skin gathers through a week of cold air and dishwater. The mechanism is simple. Citric acid is a mild alpha hydroxy acid. It loosens the bond between the dead surface cells and the living skin underneath, so the rough, dull layer lifts away on its own. That is exactly what a $30 knuckle brightening serum does today, with a longer ingredient list and a prettier jar. Her version came from a lemon she had already squeezed for something else. Nothing in that kitchen got thrown out while it still had a use. Dermatology wrote this mechanism up in the natural skincare papers of the 2000s. The black women of Bronzeville had been doing it at the kitchen sink since 1961. Number 7. Cuticles pushed back with a wooden orange stick and never once cut. Cutting the cuticle was a salon habit. Many of the black beauticians working the parlors along 47th Street would not cut them either, because the older ones understood what the cuticle actually was. Not a flap of dead skin to be trimmed off for a neater line. A seal. A thin band of living tissue that closes the gap between the nail plate and the surrounding skin and keeps bacteria and water from working their way underneath, where an infection starts. Here's how to do it without harm. Wait until after the vinegar soak, when the tissue is warm and soft. Take a dampened orange stick and a little pressure at a time, and the cuticle slides back without tearing. Then leave it whole. That unbroken seal is the reason the African American women across Chicago kept strong, even nails into their 60s, while cut and bitten cuticles left other hands swollen, sore, and forever catching. They knew exactly what it was for. That is the part no product label and no salon menu has ever printed. 7 habits in, and the pattern is hard to miss. Not one of them required a trip anywhere. Not one required a purchase from anybody. The lemon was already in the kitchen. The vinegar was already on the shelf. The warm water came straight from the tap. What kept appearing as I traced these rituals was never a list of store-bought ingredients. It was a posture. A black mother standing at her own kitchen sink on a Sunday morning, treating her hands like they mattered before the day asked a single thing of them. The modern nail industry sells you the finished result. She built that result herself, one quiet Sunday at a time, out of what she already owned. Number 6. Vaseline worked deep into the hands at night, then sealed under thin cotton gloves. A pair of plain white cotton gloves lived in the top drawer of the dresser. Not the good gloves for church. These were for sleeping. On Saturday nights, after the cast iron skillet was scrubbed and the children were down, she got to work. The older black woman pressed a thick coat of Vaseline into her palms and her knuckles, the back of each hand, every dry space between the fingers. Then the gloves went on, and she slept the whole night in them. Here is why it works. Vaseline does not soak into the skin the way a lotion does. It sits on the surface and forms an occlusive layer, a seal that traps the skin's own moisture underneath and stops it evaporating into the dry winter air overnight. The cotton glove holds that seal flush against the skin for 8 full hours, instead of the 10 minutes before a bare hand wipes it off on the sheets. By morning, the hands are soft, in a way no quick cream ever matches. Dermatologists call it occlusive moisturizing now, and the luxury overnight hand mask shelf built on that one principle is worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year. She did it with a 79-cent tin and a pair of gloves from the 5 and Dime on Maxwell Street. The modern jar does not work better. It works the same. It just arrives in nicer packaging at 20 times the price. If there is a black woman in your life paying $40 every 2 weeks at the nail salon and still wondering why her hands feel dry and look older than they should, a daughter, a sister, A friend? Tap the like button right now. 1 second is all it takes. It puts this video in front of her, and she needs it more than she knows. Then stay close. Number 1 is the habit the women of Bronzeville never once skipped, and it carries a story older than anything the beauty counter has ever tried to sell you. Number 5, a cornmeal scrub mixed right in the palm from the canister on the counter. The cornmeal canister on the counter did 2 jobs: Sunday biscuits and Sunday hands, in that order. A spoon of fine yellow cornmeal tipped into a wet palm. A little warm water to bring it to a paste. The Black mother worked it across the backs of her hands and the heels of her palms, into the rough skin between the fingers, where a week of dishwater and cold streetcar mornings had settled in. Cornmeal is a mechanical exfoliant. The fine grit lifts the dead surface skin without the chemical sharpness of an acid, which means it can run right over a freshly soaked cuticle without stinging or burning. It also pulls away the surface oil and grime that plain soap leaves behind. And the gentle friction warms the hands for the lemon and the salt still to come. No branded scrub, no second trip to the store on Sunday. Not one single thing in this part of the ritual came from anywhere outside her own kitchen cupboard. Number 4, bare nails buffed to a shine with a square of chamois leather, no polish at all. Across the church congregations of Chicago, plenty of the older Black women wore no color on their nails come Sunday morning. What they wore was a shine, not lacquer, not a gel coat, a soft, warm sheen lifted off a small square of chamois leather, the same kind sold at the hardware store for polishing shoes and silver. Drawn across each nail in slow, even strokes, about 2 minutes a hand. The shine is not just for show. Buffing lifts the microcirculation in the nail bed. It draws blood closer to the surface. That deepens the natural rose tone of the nail and gives it a living glow that bottled polish can only imitate. The African American women who buffed instead of painted kept clear, healthy nail plates for decades. No yellowing from layer after layer of lacquer. No splitting and peeling from acetone remover scrubbed on week after week. The 4-sided buffer block in your bathroom drawer is the store-bought version of her chamois square. Hers left no residue, never peeled, never yellowed a thing, and cost almost nothing against a whole year of salon polish changes. Trace all 10, and the same truth keeps surfacing. Every habit worked with the nail, never against it. The vinegar softened, the lemon cleared. The orange stick moved without cutting. The vaseline sealed. The buffing brought the blood up. Not one of these Black women was covering something over or building something false on top of what was already there. They were tending what they had slowly and faithfully because they understood that hands are not something you fix once. They are something you keep. Number 1 is the habit furthest of all from anything the modern market sells. We are almost there. Number 3, a bowl of olive oil warmed on the radiator overnight for the worst of the Chicago winters. Chicago winters were hard on hands. The cold pulled the moisture out of the skin overnight, and the dry furnace air finished the job. The Black grandmother, who kept a good set of nails through January and February, worked it out with almost nothing at all. A small ceramic bowl, a capful of olive oil poured into it before bed, the steam radiator standing against the bedroom wall, already running to heat the room. By morning, the oil was warm, just past room temperature, the way bathwater feels when you first step in. Before the kitchen, before the coffee, her dark hands rested in that bowl for a few minutes. Warm oil sinks into the nail plate far better than cold. The gentle heat opens the microchannels in the keratin. That carries the vitamin E and the fatty acids down into the deeper layers, where brittleness and breakage actually begin. That same warm oil treatment is a salon service today, or a paraffin wax kit that runs $60 and up. Hers cost a capful of olive oil and the warmth of a radiator that was heating the room anyway. There is no mass market version of it now, because the steam radiator left with the old houses that had them. Nobody sells the ceramic bowl. Nobody sells the habit. It simply went. Number 2. Nails are not tools. A rule the Black mother taught every daughter under her roof. The Black women on 47th Street had a phrase for it, and they said it the same way every time. These are not your instruments. They said it low and said clear to a daughter prying a tin lid with her fingernail, scratching a label off a jar, or digging at the head of a screw. The nail was not a tool. It was part of a hand that had to last a whole lifetime, and they meant for it to. There is a real reason behind the rule. A break at the stress point, where the free edge first lifts away from the fingertip, is dangerous. It can travel backward into the living nail bed if it is not caught and filed smooth right away. So a folded dishcloth opened the stubborn jar lids. A coin turned the screw. A small butter knife in the kitchen drawer did the prying. Their hands reached for those without a second thought, because the habit had been set in place since the first day they were old enough to help out in the kitchen. No product on any shelf replaces this one. You cannot bottle a habit and sell it. It only lives on if someone stands close enough to show you and cares enough to correct you the day you forget. Number 1, a salt soak for the fingertips, the very last step every Sunday, never once skipped. This is the habit that sat at the center of all the others, the one the older Black woman came back to every single Sunday, no matter what the week had taken out of her. After the vinegar and the cornmeal and the lemon and the orange stick and the buffing, one step was left. A small enamel bowl, warm water, 2 good pinches of coarse salt from the dish on the counter. Then she rested only her fingertips in it for 5 minutes. Not the whole hand, just the tips, just the nail, the cuticle, and the thin band of skin around the free edge where the week had done its quiet damage. Salt draws. A warm saline soak at that strength pulls the extra fluid out of the soft tissue around the nail fold. It settles the small, invisible swelling that builds over a week of dishwater, cold air, and damp hands. It carries trace minerals too, magnesium and potassium among them, down into the softened cuticle. Those minerals feed keratinization. That is the slow, steady work by which the nail matrix at the base builds new nail plate from below. Starve that process, and it slows. She knew none of those words. She knew what her own mother had taught her at the same sink. She knew her hands felt clean and tight and right after the salt bowl. And she knew that the few Sundays she let it slide, her nails looked worse by Thursday. So she never let it slide. Through raising children, through keeping a house, through decades of work that asked everything of her hands, the bowl stayed on the counter and the salt stayed in the dish. Sunday morning was Sunday morning. There is no product for this one. No brand has ever bottled it at any price point at all. It did not vanish because something better came along to replace it. It vanished because nobody's Sunday had 5 quiet minutes at the kitchen sink left in it. Fast, modern culture never took the habit by force. It just turned the kitchen sink into somewhere you pass through on your way to the next thing, instead of somewhere you stop and stand still. She stopped there, every Sunday, and her hands told the truth about it right up to the last year of her life. Somewhere right now, an older Black woman is standing at a kitchen sink with a half lemon resting on the rim of the basin and a small dish of salt beside the faucet. She is in no hurry at all. The Vaseline tin is open on the counter beside her. She knows something about her own hands that no bottle and no shelf and no app ever taught her. She learned it the way the Black mothers on 47th Street learned it. Standing close, watching the hands in the water. Doing it herself the very next Sunday. The kitchen sink is still there. The lemon is still in the bowl. The salt is still in the dish by the stove. The only thing that ever changed is whether we stop long enough to use them. Did your grandmother keep something on the edge of her kitchen sink for her hands? A half lemon, a small dish of salt, a tin with the lid already off? Tell us in the comments below. We read every story you share, and to everyone still here at the end, thank you from the bottom of our heart. This channel exists because of women like you who remember and care enough to listen. If you have not hit like or subscribed yet, both would mean the world to us. Pick one ritual from this list. Try it this Sunday. Come back and tell us what changed.